Well, hi and welcome to my beautiful office. Today's subject is why metering modes matter. They are a huge part of the tools that I use to try and get my exposure as best as possible in a forest environment especially. Dynamic range is always a problem, as you can see around me. I'm in the perfect sort of situation to talk about this. The sun's at my back, but it's up high. Got bright spots here, dark spots just here. That's what we're dealing with, and this is why you really need to know and understand how metering modes work. And I have some great photographs that I took yesterday which demonstrate this beautifully. Okay, so let's talk about how I set the camera up so you can better understand what I'm talking about and how I use my camera. So I'm in manual mode so that I have complete control over how the camera works. I have my shutter speed set to 1,000th of a second to freeze the action. That is the sweet spot. There's no need to go up any higher than that. Doesn't make a lot of difference, but it also doesn't help with exposure. Already gone to 1,000th of a second. That's not really good in a forest environment, but it's necessary to have a sharp image because birds and animals move around all the time, so we don't want to have any blurry images. So I don't go under that unless the situation calls for it. And with the aperture, I have that set to manual as well, so that I can get as much light in as possible. I have that as open as possible. So I have a 100 to 500 millimeter lens. That is 7.1. That's as wide open as I can get it. So we're leaving those two as they are. Now, because of the dynamic range problems that we're going to have, I need my ISO to be in automatic so that it can go up and down as it needs. That alleviates any hassles of me desperately trying to get my exposure properly while my bird's sitting there. It's not going to wait for me. It's going to fly off at any second. Or, you know, two birds fighting, whatever it is. So we can't be mucking around. So ISO is set to automatic, but it's limited to a certain level because of noise reasons. I know and understand my camera, so I have it set to a certain level that it won't go over that. And if the camera's screaming for more light, I know I can't take a photograph because noise is just going to be much too high, much higher than my software can deal with, which is DxO Lab is what I use. So that's the camera set, how it's set up. So let's talk about metering modes that I use. Now with metering modes, the two that I use exclusively is center weighted and a spot meter. All right, so let's talk about the spot meter. Well, that is a tiny little part of your image in the center that the camera is taking a reading on. So whatever is inside that, that's what it's going to meter off and get its information from. Now with center weighted, that is a lot bigger. It's not a third of the actual image, it's a bit smaller than that, but it is still quite large, and that takes in all the information that's within that particular square, but it also has a bit of a look around the outside of it as well. So it's taking that information in. So it's taking a broader look at the exposure overall. Let's have a look at the first image I took of this bird. Now, as you can see, it is slightly overexposed because this is center weighted. And we're looking up at the information on the left-hand side there. You can see it's saying center weighted and how I have the camera set up as well. All the information is there for you to see. So what it's doing is it's taking a good look at the background. It's seeing that it's quite dark, it's in the shadows. So it's exposing more for that, let more light in, open the shadows up at the expense of the actual subject itself, which is sitting in full sunlight. So it's a couple of stops more than it really should be. So therefore, center weighted isn't going to work. And this is going to happen a lot, you'll find, in the forest environment. All right, so let's have a look at the spot meter one. Same again, you can see the information up on the side. It is taken with the spot meter. So I haven't changed the ISO to suit myself. The camera has done it for me. So you can see it's not worrying about the background because that's only a tiny, tiny part of the actual image that it's seeing. It's seeing that the subject is really, really bright and it's exposed for that. So that is why I use a spot meter. It is so important to understand what's happening here so that you can get much better photographs that are exposed properly. So let's also now have a look at another image I've taken of this flower. Now flowers are quite reflective. So using the right metering mode for this particular subject in the lighting conditions that it's in, again, it's in full sunlight. The background is one stop less in light value because it's slightly shaded, but it's not as strong as what we had in the last image. But it's enough that can cause the camera to try and open that up a little bit. So just slightly overexposed. So let's bring in the spot meter version, and you can see the spot meter has taken the light value on the flower itself and recorrected it. Now it's at a good exposure. Now the background is only a little bit darker, so it's a very pleasing type image still. And we can muck around in post and brighten that up a little bit more if we wanted, or whatever suits us. So having a nice balanced image is crucial to our photography. So that's a good look at what's happening with metering modes and why they are such a valuable tool to use. With center weighted, it's always better to use that when we have good exposure on our subject and the background is exposed with the same value of light. It's perfect for that. But there's always a circumstance where metering modes just don't really help us out 100%. And the one bird that I have the most difficulty with is the satin flycatcher. Lands on a branch and then disappears instantly. I've really struggled in that area to have a little bit of time to work with them because I get surprised by them. It jumps onto a branch, I think, oh no, it's not going to work with the ISO set to auto, but I'll take a shot anyway and hopefully that comes out all right. And always they don't, because the subject is a blacky bluey colour, very reflective as well. That's quite bright, so even though it's black, it still can be a little bit on the overexposed side, and especially its white stomach. They always overexposed and you can't get the detail back. So I've tried, as you look with this image, to try and bring it back, and I've got it reasonably looking well. I still need to work on that a lot more. If it would have given me another chance, I could have quickly looked at what the ISO was on the camera and gone, okay, I'll take that down a couple of hundred and maybe that might be all right. Take a shot and hopefully get it better exposed. That's the sort of circumstance that comes up occasionally. Now, where I use centre weighted the most is definitely out in open paddocks. Birds in flight especially, that is my go-to for getting really good exposure. I hope this has all been really beneficial to you, to your understanding of using metering modes. So I think we'll finish up here. Got a good idea now. Now it's time to get out and practice and work it out yourself. What works best for you in different environments. It's all about practicing and getting out there, that is for sure. Now, if you'd like to subscribe to my channel and get more of this amazing stuff, click on my pretty little face just down there in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Hit the little bell, you'll get notification whenever I do anything else. And if you want to go and have a look at the other mad and crazy things I've been doing in the past, click on my icon right here at the end of this video. Say get to my channel. I talk about photographing and filming in a forest environment and open forest environments. I talk about my passion, agile anti-kindness and anti-kindness in general, and whenever I go on adventures, I always take you with me. I talk about camera gear as well and accessories, so go and have a browse. There'll be something there of interest to you, I am sure. Now just remember, if you don't do, you don't get. So get out there and start photographing and filming wildlife, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.